So the number one message that I deliver to my clients is your holding period of an asset is forever, because you do the work one time, you buy one property and you hold it one time, and it pays you forever. And that's what creates the wealth. And so just think about it. If you are 30 years old and you buy just one rental property a year, by the time you're 50, you've bought 20 properties. And if you do research on the big people that have made their money in real estate, they will tell you, hands down, what do you wish you would have done different? And every one of them will say, I wish I held more properties.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. I have to tell you, I'm having the coolest conversation right now with Mercedes. She is authentic, straight up, been in the field for years. She knows her stuff. I would say SHIT, but I don't think I'm allowed to actually say it. So we're actually going to broadcast this on Roku and all these other platforms that my production manager says it goes out on. So, but I just want you guys to meet her, because I think when it comes to understanding the reality of investing in real estate, the reality of what it takes, it's not just a financial game. It is a personality game. It is a mindset game. Who are you going to choose to be? And that's what we're going to talk about here today. So Mercedes Torres is the co-founder and vice president of, oh my God, it just left my head. Tell me, Mercedes, co-founder and vice president of Cash Flow Savvy.
Savvy, yes.
Cash Flow Savvy. So she is, let me tell you, her very first 2 years in the world of real estate investing, Mercedes flipped 24 properties. I have flipped in my whole years of investing, 30 years, maybe like 12. Now she has 2,000 plus real estate transactions to her name. She's appeared on the A&E show Flip That House, graduated from UCLA, is currently divulging all her life's lessons in real estate savvy to her friends, followers, clients, and connections. You can see her on the town. She'll be sipping a spicy margarita while dreaming up the next big deal. Family first and then financial freedom. She does more than speak these words. Well, she still runs her own portfolio. She helps friends and partners develop, grow, and add profit. You also have your own podcast, top 30 podcast with over, you said 350 downloads now? Is that right?
Yeah, we get 350,000 downloads per episode. It's called the Epic Real Estate Investing Podcast, and we started it out of a love of labor, and I do the episode on Tuesdays called Turnkey Tuesdays, and I absolutely love it. I'd have to say it's probably one of my favorite parts of the week is recording the episodes to teach financial freedom, to teach what I actually get to live. So it's fun.
And you run a Phoebe meeting.
No,
REN meeting. You run a REN meeting.
Yes,
you run a REN meeting.
I am the REN chapter leader of Las Vegas. And I just took that on during COVID because why not? And I absolutely love it. I love educating. I love teaching women specifically, but I love just sharing what creating a portfolio and what it does to your life. So I love teaching it.
So tell us more in your words. What is your history in real estate and what does your company do? Who are you in real estate, Mercedes?
I am considered the turnkey girl.
Okay, I was going to say, claim it, girl. Whatever it is, claim it.
You know what? I claim it, I live it, and I think I'm more than just a turnkey girl. I was given that term just by the media and by people that came across me because I do have an amazing turnkey product, but there's more to that because that turnkey product came about because I was a fixer and flipper. I did do 24 fix and flip my very first year of investing. I cheated a little bit. And when I say I cheated is I had a lot of help. My family ran a little bit of a construction business, and I came from the banking world. So I had access to money, and then I had access to a great team that was my family that I could tell them what to do. So that's why it was very easy for me to flip 24 properties in a year. But that was in the year 2007, 2008. And when the market turned upside down, I was like, holy cow, I really wasn't a flipper. I just had access to do it. Now, I had created system. I'm big on systems. So I created systems, which allowed me to do 2 flips per month. But the reality was, when the market turned upside down, I was very dependent on what the market was doing. And I realized that I kept having to work for money. I kept having to look for that deal. And when there were no more deals to be had, I was like, my hands were crossed, like I couldn't do anything. And I had a little bit of capital, and I was living in California, and I absolutely knew that there were markets in middle America that would cash flow. California just wasn't one of them. So I'm always of the mindset, look, if you can't do something where you are, go figure out where you can do it. And so I created what I didn't know then, but I created a turnkey operation because I created an algorithm that pulled information from government census so that I could truly cash flow. And that's how I created Cash Flow Savvy. Once I created that, I found markets in middle America. I was the guinea pig. So I would go to these markets, I created the teams, and that's how I created my own little portfolio. And then people were asking, how do you live in California and invest in Danville, Illinois, or invest in Memphis, Tennessee, or invest in Indiana, and the teams on the ground? Hence, I became the turnkey girl. So long of the short of it, that's the story.
Wow. That's a great story. That's a lot.
And you know what's crazy is it happened by accident. But I don't know, God has a plan, man. It happened and I got to live it. And I really am living it now. And then I get to teach it. And that's so rewarding. It's awesome. It's really
Being able to stumble into your purpose. Now, I'm going to use a big word, purpose, right? But I'm a great believer, right? That we might have a purpose and real estate happens to be our vehicle.
Absolutely.
Right? So like my purpose is transformation, abundance, and freedom for myself and for others.
Yeah.
Real estate is a really great platform to teach transformation, abundance, and freedom, and to experience for myself transformation, abundance, and freedom. Right? So it fulfills my purpose, even though it's not, doesn't have to be bound to real estate. I could teach stocks. I could teach financial planning. I could teach, in college. There's so many platforms that I could speak from or live in. But the point is, I would feel on course and clear that I had a reason why I was doing what I was doing.
Yeah. Preach.
Preach to me, sister, right? Preach to me. I don't get to preach very often on this show, so it's awfully fun to get to preach. When I get the chance to preach, I really enjoy it. So thank you. But no, it really is. I mean, and people come to real estate usually for a reason, right? There's a vision in their head. There's something they want. They either want cash now, or they want wealth later, or they want stability. My favorite reason that I've heard people speak was they wanted integrity. They wanted the integrity to follow their own values, which they couldn't do in the W-2 world they were in.
Yeah.
Right? So for them, it was the freedom to have their own integrity at stake. So we're going off the questions, right? So what is it that real estate brings you, Mercedes, that has you so dedicated to it? And then we'll double back to, well, what are you an expert in? Right. So we'll unbox some of those things you're an expert in.
I love it. So what real estate and why real estate is my vehicle. I'm a big follower of people that have already done what I wanted to do. So I like Warren Buffett. I like Robert Kiyosaki. I like the big names. And there's something to be said about this. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. They've already done it. So just go see what they did. So what I've realized with all the millionaires in the world is that real estate is the final frontier where the average person has a legitimate chance of creating personal wealth. And many of the people that are, millionaires and billionaires are because of real estate. So if they did it, why can't I do it? So that's why I chose real estate. I am a people person. Um, Believe it or not, I was in law school and I hated it. And I was just like, I have to be in a business where I'm going to enjoy connecting with people and I'm going to make a buttload of money doing it. And it happened to be real estate. So that's how I landed it. And that's what it means to me. For me, I wanted not only financial freedom, but I wanted freedom in every aspect of my work. And I didn't want a W-2 job. Like, God forbid I worked for somebody that wasn't me. And so I just fell into it, like you said, how I, fell into the vision. But really, I think I always had that vision in the back of my mind is I loved houses. That's why I like fixing and flipping back in the day, is because I like creating something beautiful out of something that's a little piece of turd. So that was my favorite thing. And then the fact that I was able to create my vision and then make money for myself and then provide a roof over someone's head and that, provided value to them, that was important to me. So, real estate.
Makes perfect sense. And like you said, you kind of stumbled into it, but it also fit who you were.
Oh, totally. Girl.
Very, right. Very like good, important, important, like the two roads met and there it was. There was the alignment. So, so tell me, so what is it that you teach now? And how does your company work now? Let's unpackage that piece of the background that you covered. So what do you guys do now that's special in the field? Let's start with that.
I teach people how to get out of the rat race using real estate. And the way you do that is buying properties that cash flow. So the number one message that I deliver to my clients is your holding period of an asset is forever, because you do the work one time, you buy one property and you hold it one time and it pays you forever. And that's what creates the wealth. And so just think about it. If you are 30 years old and you buy just one rental property a year, by the time you're 50, you've bought 20 properties. And if you do research on the big people that have made their money in real estate, they will tell you, hands down, what do you wish you would have done different? And every one of them will say, I wish I held more properties. Mm-hmm. So I teach you how to buy and hold and have it not break you. And I am huge on leveraging other people's money or maximizing your leverage using creative financing. So that term that you hear, you can buy properties with no money. Yes, that's true. It exists. I've done it. I do it every day. And I teach that because, girl, let me tell you, when people tell me that you can't do something, I'm just on a quest. You can do it. You just have to figure out how to do it. Well, I'm the girl that teaches you how to do that. And that's how Cash Flow Savvy was born. I was told, you can't cash flow in California. I'm like, watch me. I will teach you how to cash flow. You can live in California and you can own properties in Indianapolis, in Memphis, in St. Louis, in Kansas City, and all the markets that cash flow, and you can still live in California. And the best part of it is that the purchase price and the rent ratio make financial sense that allow you to cash flow and allows you to build wealth. And that's what I teach you. I teach you how to create that portfolio that gets you out of the rat race. Let me tell you, girl, it didn't happen overnight. I will tell you that. But I will tell you it's possible. Very possible. I live it, I dream it, and now I get to teach it. So it's awesome.
So you teach, but your company also does more than that. I'm sitting here looking at your website and it says how it works. And you have this whole explanation about cash flow savvy system, step 1 through 4, average person create passive income through real estate. So you teach it, but you also participate in it. Your company helps place people. Tell me how it works.
Yeah. So I'll start with the basis of why that exists. When I started investing, the biggest mistake I ever made, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. What I did was I paid too much for the property and I acted too fast, which caused mistakes.
Okay.
So what I decided just after I had my own portfolio is if I eliminated that risk for myself, I would be a much better investor. So when people started listening to the podcast and started to buy the course to do it, they would do the course and they're like, Mercedes, I am too busy. I am an attorney. I'm a school teacher. I'm a postal worker. I don't have time to do this.
Mhm.
And so they said, would you sell me one of your properties? And I was like, okay. It was my property. I knew it was performing. It was already working. Okay, I'll sell you a property. Well, one property became two, two became four. And in 1 month, I sold 10 of my rentals. And I realized there was a demand. So I do everything for the investor that wants to get out of the rat race. They just don't have the time or the knowledge. So my company buys the properties, we fix them up, we place tenants in the property. But the most important thing that I do is I collect the rents on the first of the month. And on the 15th, they land in your bank account because it's your property. You own it. It's your name on the property. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you get the taxes, you get the insurance, but you also get the cash flow and you get the wealth. So I do it all for you. You, the investor, benefits from everything.
Okay, so how long do you stay with them? Are you also the property management company that stays with them year after year, or do you place them with a property management company? Because you collect that first rent. You make sure they've got a tenant. You give them a perfectly well-performing property that's the same quality and specs as you would want inside of your own portfolio, so they can trust what they're being given. Now, they've got it. They own it. They get the good and the bad with it. Trust me, I know what good and bad looks like, right? Now, what about, 6 months later? Are they with the property management company? How have you helped them get to that transition where they either are still in your nest or they've left your nest and they're performing on their own?
They never leave my nest.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear. Tell me more.
Yeah. So here's what happens. When I said the most important part of what I do is collect the rents and make sure that it gets to you, that's all done by a property management team, a local property management team that I personally work with because they oversee my portfolio. They are also given to you and they become your team as well. Now, I no longer own the property, but I know everything about your property because I bought it. I fixed it up. I put tenants in that. And now I know about it because I get a report about your property. I have no rights to the property, but I do know what's happening. My typical client, Christina, buys 3.4 properties a year. Don't ask me to explain the 0.4. That's what the bookkeeper
It's just math.
said. Right.
It's just math.
So 3.4 properties, but they refer 2 clients to me every year.
Okay.
And the reason they do is because it works. And the reality is the price point of these properties are so much lower than what they are in where we live in California and in New York and sometimes in, Florida, that property management in each of my markets, I have anywhere from 2 to 4 property management teams because I always want to diversify and they hold your hand through the entire process after you've purchased the property.
Okay. Wow. So that's a lot. You're really with them for a long period of time, helping them cultivate the success of their portfolio over time. What cities do you primarily buy in? Because what you're telling me is that it sounds like your system is inherently built for cash flow properties, right? So what cities are you primarily buying in that allows you to do that?
I'm in 10 markets and across Middle America. I am deep in markets. I'm not wide across the United States. I'm deep into the markets. 5 of our best performing markets are Birmingham, Alabama, St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Birmingham, Alabama. Did I say Birmingham already?
You said Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay. Little Rock, Arkansas would be my fifth market.
Little Rock. Okay.
Those markets that are specifically driven to drive cash flow. They're not super duper appreciating markets. But remember that algorithm that I created in 2008? I've been perfecting it throughout the years. And so what the algorithm does is it pulls information from government census that tells me what those markets are looking for. So I know the medium household size, medium household income, what people rent. So everything that I buy is very cookie cutter. It's all the same. And I mean cookie cutter across all of our markets because I don't want to have a shortage of tenants. So if our property, for whatever reason, doesn't sell to one of my clients, I have no problem keeping it, none whatsoever. And let's just say one of my clients is not happy with their investment, which seldom happens, but if they're not
Sometimes
happy,
they need to move on. Sometimes they just need to move on. Sometimes they're done with owning rental properties. Sometimes they're, moving on to take care of their grandkids and they've had enough of being engaged in this style of the market. There are lots of life reasons why I find people sell their properties.
right. And if they sell it, I will be more than happy to buy it back from them. So I would buy this property for me. I could just sell it to you if you want it. And if you don't, no problem keeping it.
All right. So I already know, because of my background, that what is unique about your company isn't just that you offer turnkey properties. It's your algorithm that ensures that your turnkey properties perform to a certain level. So if you want to buy this box, you sell that box, and you sell it in multiple different areas, but you sell this box. Because people ask me, like, where do I buy? And I'm like, well, if you want to buy rental properties, there are probably 250 different suburbs. You can buy rental properties across the United States, and they all would work, right? You've defined the box, and you've gone deep in 10 of these areas because that box works. And again,
I've defined my box.
Your box, this particular box.
My box, and I have found that 95% of my clients like my box. Here's the reality of it, though. I always ask my clients, okay, what are you looking for? Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking to build wealth? Or are you looking for tax deductions? And I'll have my client rank it in the order of importance. And so that's kind of what helps me guide what market might be a better fit. And so if they say, well, I just want appreciating assets. Okay, well, honey, don't come to me if you're looking for appreciation next year, because that's not happening in my markets. Now, I have no crystal ball, neither do they, but history repeats itself. The property is probably going to appreciate within the next 5 to 10 years. And remember, I said buying period, holding period is forever. Who cares if it appreciates? Because the reality is, if you're cash flowing the entire time, who cares what it does? And so then it brings the conversation of, you and I are just talking about cash flow. I'm not talking about everything else this rental is doing for you. There's depreciation, there's appreciation, there's amortization, and then there's what happens at the end of the year when you do tax deductions. So there's so much more that goes into it. And all you and I talk about on the surface is cash flow, if that's what's your important thing. And if it's tax deductions, then we'll talk about tax deductions and then the other systems that fall right below it. So there you go.
Because so you got that box. The other niche that you seem to offer is you stay with them, right? So you actually receive a copy of their management statements, is what I heard you say.
I get a report. I don't get their dialed in management. I get the report because I want to see the big picture. Because remember, building wealth doesn't happen overnight. It's the big picture. So what I look for is inconsistencies. Like if the plumbing goes wrong every month, and I get the report just about at the same time that you do, and I see that it's happening 3 months in a row, or I see that it's happened 5 times that year, I'm like, okay, what's going on? So then that falls on me. That's my product. And we'll go back and we'll say, why is the toilet continually getting clogged? This is literally a true story. The toilet was being clogged month after month because the tenants were using paper towels. Paper towels don't dissolve like toilet paper does.
Right.
And I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, why do we keep getting this? And finally, I just had to come to Jesus conversation with the tenant. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And the way that I found it was when one of the roller rooter guys came and said, oh, after 3 months in a row, there's paper towels in it. Bingo. So I oversee that stuff from, a bird's eye point of view, but it's enough to make a dent in your ROI. And at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this. So
Yeah.
I'm all over it, girl.
I've got a client who he's divesting himself of these properties for a variety of reasons. But one of the things I'm looking at is your utility bill ranges anywhere from 16 to 20% of your gross rental income to 50% of your gross rental income. And I'm like, that's a red flag. If you brought these properties to me, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we might have been able to do something about this, but there is no way that your utility should be anywhere from 20 to 50% of your gross rental income. Like that. Part of the difficulty is I'm not sure that it fit in the box, right? He may not have purchased it originally with the box in place. Or there is something really going wrong with the utilities on these properties. But that would be the same thing. Like, why is the plumbing happening month after month after month? Why are utilities ending up 50% of my gross rental income? Is that a box problem? I bought the property wrong from the beginning? Or is it really there's something going on with the utilities on the property? So, all right. So you stay with them and you help them and you keep applying your experienced head to their portfolio.
Correct. As long as they need me, as long as they have. My goal, Christina, to be really, really honest, is to teach my client so well that after a couple properties, they're not going to need me. Now, they're going to need my properties, but they're not going to need me. And that's the goal. The goal is, look, I'm going to teach you how to fish and you can continue to fish forever. If you need the hook every once in a while, okay, come to me. I'll sell you one of my properties. Right. But that's the idea. And most of my clients are busy professionals. They're attorneys, workers, they're managers of stores, and they're parents, and they don't have time. And truly, they don't want to be real estate investors. So most of my clients don't leave me. I literally have a client. I think I've sold him. We're on property number 17. It's now to the point where he's like, Mercedes, I'll just pick a property. You do everything for me. He literally just signs the contract. We do it all for him now. We order the inspection. We make sure everything on the inspection is what we want it to be. We send them copies of everything. The appraisal is ordered. We do all of the closing. All he has to do is say, I'm going to be in my office Wednesday at 6 p.m., send the notary, signs the documents. It's that kind of a relationship because he's done it 16 other times. So he just picks the properties and, he even says to me, oh, just pick the property. No. You pick the property. I'll do everything else for you.
Someplace in there, you have to take accountability for your portfolio. Someplace you have to choose and take accountability for you picked it. I can't. So it's like being a personal dresser. Like after I'm going to bring you options, but ultimately I suggest you pick which color dress you want.
Exactly that. So that's the service that we provide. We do it all for you. So cash flow savvy, real estate done for you.
Real estate done for you. It's perfect. Okay. So I always like to include, as you know, and I've told you this, let's move more to the personal side. So you're developing your portfolio for yourself, which means you have personal stories of you as an investor. Now, real estate is really great, but real estate is also a pain in the. That's just the reality of real estate. Having been investing in real estate for 30 years, right? I can tell you personal experiences where it's gone really well and it's gone really stinky. So can you tell us, please share with us, what was a big experience or a real tough experience in real estate and how did it grow you up as a real estate investor?
Aspect was not diversifying. So when I first started investing, one of my original markets was Memphis, Tennessee. And I had an amazing property management team, but I only had one. So we got along great. He serviced my properties for about 2.5 years. There's no reason for me to fire him. No reason for me to look for anybody else until one day I got a call and he passed away overnight. He was my only property manager in Memphis, Tennessee. I had 67 properties in Memphis. So my portfolio and my clients' portfolios, and I had no plan B. And I literally didn't know that he was a one-man shop. So, he had employees, he had maintenance team that was contracted. He had a contractor team. He had roofers, but everyone was independent contractors. So when he died, nobody can take the ropes. And unfortunately, he was the breadwinner of the family, of a very large family, and his baby mama and his mother came into the business and took all the money out and didn't care about the investors. So I was in California. My properties were in Memphis, Tennessee, and I literally had to stop my world and go figure out all of these 60 some odd properties. What was I going to do with them? And how was I going to redirect my clients, which was more important to me? My properties I didn't care about. I could afford to lose several months of rent. They couldn't. They were depending on me. So I had to pick up the pieces. Took me about 6 months to clean up that mess. And I learned never, ever, ever to have one single point of failure. So now, as you heard me say, each of my markets has anywhere from 2 to 4 property management teams. And I deliberately do that. And now I diversify properties. Back in the day, I was only buying a certain price point, and all of my tenants were like 1 kilo. So now I diversify not only property management, I diversify properties. So I have lower price point property, mid price point property, and maximum price point within my little box.
I can understand that. So a really good example right now is we're in the middle of COVID. So I am invested via my family, with my family, my sister, in a syndicated deal that was considered well diversified, had multi-units, elderly care, and hospitality, all inside with this syndicated deal we went into. Normally, you would consider that a really great diversification, unless, of course, COVID hits. And then you have hospitality and elderly care being...
Glad you're laughing, because you weren't laughing when it hit, right?
Well, I'm laughing because it's a small enough percentage of my portfolio that I can observe it, right? Diversification is not a big enough percentage of my portfolio that I'm losing sleep, right, over it. It is, it's something where, so yeah, I mean, really it's the diversification. Like, it's just like, I've seen enough deals go by. I know things go south, that you have to laugh. I have to laugh. It's not going to significantly reduce my net worth if this guy can't pay us back. And it's a large enough syndication house that I don't expect them to go, tits up, right? Like they're going to do right by it. Right. So therefore I can laugh because I feel safe and secure, but it is a good observation point, right? Like, so, and same with COVID, right? This K return, right? So we have the B minus, or really C and D properties are continuing to go down and struggle, because those are the people that are not getting, not currently employed. They're reliant upon stimulus checks. They're doing unemployment, and their jobs may not be available to them when the restrictions do lift. Whereas all the technical jobs and people who can work from home.
You know what?
Talk to me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, baby. Come on.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think you're wrong if you look at it in a nutshell. But the reality is that's happening to those people that didn't buy right. Because look, God is not making any more land, and real estate is a necessity. Like, everybody needs a roof over their head. Everybody, even the homeless, everyone needs it. So this is an essential. And so when you're buying a property, if you buy a property right, and what I mean by right is if it reduces an income for you, then you're buying right. And so I was really lucky during this pandemic that we have a lot of communication with our tenants. We're always in communication. And then my owners, our clients, have a lot of communication with the property manager who serves the tenants. So we saw this coming. So in February, we sent out letters saying, listen, if the world goes through whatever it goes through, before the pandemic ever hit, we said, you always have to pay your rent no matter what. And if you cannot, you have to call our office and make arrangements. And because all of my investors bought right, they cash flowed. all I cared about for every single person, including my own portfolio, is as long as their mortgage, taxes, insurance, and property management was covered, I didn't care what happened. So even if I had to drop the tenant rent to just cover the bare necessities and they didn't go into negatives, kind of like you're experiencing in the syndication, I didn't care what happened. I will say, Christina, only 1% of all of our clients, over 2,600 and investors, only 1% experienced no collection of rents. And then our property managers were really proactive. Exactly, they will get your properties to perform. So my property managers, if they do not collect your rent, nobody makes money. So it is very important to my property managers that they collect rents. So what did my property management do? They went out and got every single local or lack of collection because of that. So I have to disagree because I have hairdressers, I have restaurant owners that were paying, let's just say $1,000 in rent, where my nut is $600 total. And I dropped their rent to $700 during this like most critical time. Every single one of their people, all of those people, all of them paid rent.
Okay.
It could have been a payment plan, but they paid it. So beg to differ there, Missy.
I love it. I love it. Disagree with me anytime you want. It's perfect. So you learned personally what you would do differently as an investor. What did it take from you as an individual to go through that 6 months in a mind and on the level of your mindset and on the level of your determination to face that?
Oh, it kicked my, let me tell you. It was so hard because first of all, it was at the very beginning of my career and I didn't have a mentor. I had big mentors like, Warren Buffett and Kiyosaki and those people, but I didn't have a coach. I didn't have somebody that I could go to and ask questions. I didn't have a RIA group that I felt confident had the answers for me. And so I had to figure it out. And that's one thing that just Epic Real Estate and Cash Flow Savvy stands for is you don't have to figure it out. There's help. And so, you call our office, we're all, and we'll find a way to help you. And if we don't have the answers, because trust me, I don't have all the answers, I have an amazing network. I belong to masterminds. I still have a real estate coach, and I've been doing this for 15 years. I will find somebody to help you if I don't have the answers. And I couldn't go to anybody. So that was really, really hard. And then the other thing for me is I'm a Latina woman. I'm a minority. Like going over there to ask for help when I didn't even know some of the areas like that I was investing in. Like I knew the area in that, yeah, I knew the market, but I didn't know the street specifically. Like, it's located on Broadway and Fifth. I didn't know where Broadway and Fifth was because I didn't live in Memphis. I lived in LA. So asking for help was probably the biggest lesson because I never wanted to ask for help. Girl, I always had it. I always did it by myself. And having to like put my head down and say, can you help me? Yeah, was really tough on me. But let me tell you, it humbled me and it made me the best investor because now, girl, I get stuck. I ask for help. I don't care who it is. I will ask for help. I will go to people that are doing 10 times what I'm doing. And they always, Christina, gladly help me.
Always.
And we always do that to our students. We gladly help them because I've been there. I know what it's like. And it was tough. And I had sleepless nights. I had nights away from I have a baby. At that time, he was a baby. Now he's 10 years old. But I had to leave. I was gone for 3 weeks when he was just a baby because I had to figure it out. So humbled me substantially, but made me strong.
Yeah.
God gives you challenges for a reason.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, that's as my coach always says, what is it? It's show up, grow up, and stand up. Right. So those seem to be the core elements that, real estate will challenge you to do. So last question.
For sure.
If real estate is such a pain in the Why do we use it for our financial freedom? Why do you use it? And what does financial freedom mean to you? Why bother? Why not just have a W-2?
Financial freedom is just the freedom to do anything that I want whenever I want to, at any time of the day, any season of the year. If I want to go start my day and go have coffee with my 82-year-old mom, that's what that means to me. If I want to pick up my son every single day from school at 3:15 and take him to hockey, and I can do it every single day, that's what that means to me. So why real estate? It's the final frontier where the average person has a legitimate chance of creating financial freedom. And I live it. I wasn't going to be able to do that with a ceiling that a W-2 job provides. I refuse to have ceilings. It caps you at your capacity. It just caps you at who you have the potential of being. And I'm just not up for being capped out. It just doesn't work for me. So I created it and I'm living it. You know, I'm really big, and it wasn't until just like I don't know, 5 years ago, where I became really big on vision boards and like living the vision.
Yeah.
And I do that every single year and it works. I used to think it was like hoity-toity stuff, you know? I used to
Exactly.
think it was
Yeah,
like
but
feng shui. Oh, no, no. I like write it down and I like put it on my wall and I live it. And the only thing that I saw that was going to help me live that freedom that I wanted to live, because I wanted to drive the luxury car. I wanted to live in the big, beautiful house. I want to go and come as I please. And I saw that real estate was going to be that one thing that was going to do that for me. And I'll be darned, lady, it's doing it for me.
it's doing it for you. You're getting there. Mercedes, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for your time, your authenticity, and the truth of your lessons. Because again, this whole show is dedicated to people understanding the mindset you need in order to develop your success in this crazy field of real estate. And the more we share our stories and the more that we're authentic about our stories, hopefully the better prepared my listeners are and your listeners on your podcast are in being able to say, yes, I can manage not just the numbers and the research, but the actual determination and growth that is required of me to be a success. So,
Yeah,
Mercedes, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to invest through your company, right? They want to buy a, cash flow savvy property, or they want to take one of your courses. How do people get a hold of you?
Super easy. You go to cashflowsavvy.com. That's savvy with 2 V's. And you can hit the contact us, or you can email me directly, mercedes@epicrealestate.com. And we actually pick up our phone and answer our emails, ironically. So I'd love to speak and educate, and I'd love to speak and educate you to be real and to share what works.
Beautiful. Cashflow savvy with 2 V's.com. Mercedes Torres, thank you so much for your time and your love. I am Christina Suter, the host of the Real Estate Breakthrough Show. I look forward to seeing you guys at some of my meetings or having you download this podcast. We're at Roku, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and a variety of other platforms, easy to find, or go to christinasuter.com to find our posting schedule and any other free resources. Thank you so much, Mercedes.